All right, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast where we review and talk about indie games all the time. I am one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always is
Matty Juice. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 12 of Fresh Juice. You know, we're cruising 12 episodes so far. And this one, we're going to be checking out another chess-related game, which is interesting. It's always interesting to see someone else's take on chess, right, Tom?
yeah. I mean, chess is big right
Yeah.
now in the indie game
Yeah,
sphere,
it
it
is.
seems like. But you know, this is a lot different from the last chess game, which was called Checkmate Showdown. This was called Chessarama. A different vibe here, something that we're going to be talking about. But it should be exciting. We got a great show for you all. We got some news, some stuff we want to talk about, some listener questions, and of course the main squeeze where we review Chessarama. But before that, what's going on, buddy? You lost power, right? But you got it back sooner than you expected.
Yes. Yeah. So, yesterday, Monday, I woke up 7:30. Like there's like this speaker thing we have in our room. Like, have you seen like those galaxy light
Yeah.
things that's really popular on TikTok? So we have one of those. I wake up, it keeps beeping. It keeps going beep. It's like 7:30. I'm like, God damn, like I sleep a little bit longer than that. And it's because the power kept going on and off, and then I waited like 3 hours, and I was like, all right, like I'm gonna need to do something because our turtle Montana, if it gets too cold, like that's not good for her. She'll start to like basically hibernate, which is like, we don't want that. So, uh, yeah, so I had to pack up everything. I brought it to my parents' house, and because the power company said it was going to take 2 days to get the power back, so I was like, we don't have like enough firewood for 2 days to keep the house warm. So went to my parents' house, and I was there for like 2 hours, and then the power came back on. And I was like, so I probably could have just had a fire, and it would have been fine, and then didn't have to move at all. So yeah, no, we were talking about how I might have to like call into the show, to do this week's episode. But luckily, I got all the power back right now. Hopefully, it stays on throughout the show. It was it was wild. I was just like, this is how is that acceptable? Like 2 days, like right immediately. That's the first thing he says. Yeah, it's gonna be 2 days. I'll be like, you didn't even look at it. Like that's what it felt like. You didn't even check it out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, being without power, it's like one of those things we kind of take for granted. And then when you lose it, you're like, this is miserable. I hate this. This is like I want it back real as fast as possible. So like I understand the frustration, but at least you got it back. A lot sooner than 2 days, which is good. We were gonna have to have you call in on walkie talkies or something like that over 10-4. But yeah, man, it's good. It's good that it's back and you're firing on all cylinders.
I am, yeah. But how are you doing? How's your power situation?
Power's good. I'll be honest with you. Yesterday it started flickering, and I was like worried. And I was on a different podcast, and it started flickering. I was like, oh, this person's gonna lose me. But it held on. But it has been a busy 48 hours of podcast. This is my fourth in 2 days.
Wow.
Everybody's trying to get stuff in before Christmas and all that stuff. And I luckily I love podcasting, so it all works out. But it's been a hectic couple days. I had a wild week last week. It'll tie into my rec room, to be honest.
Ooh.
But it's pretty interesting, and we're just trying to gear up for Christmas, get all the gifts done, and all that kind of fun stuff. But hopefully Christmas Eve is a good time this year. Usually our family goes pretty hard for Christmas Eve, so that's always fun.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, and I want to just get there, just get through the next couple days of work and stuff like that. Not that I'm working hard this week, 'cause it's pretty low key, but
yeah,
other stuff's going on, which is whatever. It's life. Life that sometimes happens. So let's talk about the news.
Let's do it.
What is this Iron Lung game that you had put here on the news section?
Yeah, so I saw people talking about this on Twitter actually, and excuse me, I didn't really think much of it at the time. I didn't really understand it, and then I saw it pop up on my feed again, so I took a deeper look. And essentially, what's happening here is the developer for this game, Iron Lung, which I see is like a kind of like a horror game. Um, he decided to raise the price of his game $2, and he got a lot of backlash about he's only doing this for the money. Like that's just kind of what his motive is with all his decisions, all that sort of stuff. And he came back and just said, "Yeah, like I make games for a living. Like if I." If I need to raise the price of one of my games so that I can continue living, then I will do that. And it's $2. Like even the article that um uh yeah, that we're reading here from PC Gamer, like they're on the side of like, yeah, it's just a $2 like price hike, and he's an indie developer, like it, he made the price of his game $8 instead of 6. Like, that's not a problem. So I just thought it was a really interesting story, and especially since like, I mean, why would people give backlash to this? Like, it just seems insane to me. Is that like the time we're living in right now, Tom?
I think it is. People are crazy.
Yeah.
So, let me get this straight. So he raises this game by $2. Does it not? Does it affect people that already bought the game?
No, it's just for new people.
So new people are saying people who've never played the game, never bothered to buy it, are the ones complaining. I'm sure that the people who bought it to begin with don't care. So, like, it's just funny that people would be complaining about that. And it's not like a very expensive game. It looks like what, like $8, $10 after the price hike, or it went up to $8.
No, it went up to $8.
I mean, that might be. I mean, we like done one $5 game. I don't even know if we did a $5 game. Maybe it was on sale.
No, yeah, I don't think we've done anything.
$8 would be
yet.
the cheapest thing we've done. Which
Yeah.
is, hey, listen, I get it. People don't want to spend the money, but like, hey, you don't have to buy it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like it was a free game, and then this person was like, actually, it's not free anymore. You guys have to pay $2. Like, everybody that had already been playing this, you got to pay $2 if you want to keep playing. This is not that situation. It's like, hey, and it's been out for a while, right? The game?
Yeah, it even says it's so popular that it's getting a movie adaptation starring the YouTuber Markiplier.
Oh, wow.
If you know Mark. Yeah, so I mean, obviously probably not an A-list sort of movie, but it's still getting a movie adaptation, which is pretty incredible, especially for a game I've never heard of, it being made by this one guy. So yeah, it's definitely just ridiculous that people would complain about something like this, but he felt the need to respond to it, so he must be getting a decent volume of complaints about this.
Yeah,
insane to me.
I mean,
insane.
it is crazy. It's crazy, and I actually, you know what? I want to know what the listeners actually think about this, because maybe we're the crazy ones, right? But
could be.
But if you think if you think that this guy shouldn't have done this, please comment on the video, or like just like reach out on our socials or whatever. They're all on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. At Fresh Buds Pod, at Matty Gorm, at Fresh Juice Pod on all things. So listen, we want to know, because I feel like that I think this is pretty cut and dry. Like, yeah, okay, person wanted to raise it $2. Who cares? So
yeah,
whatever. I do have here a video that I watched earlier that was pretty cool. It's not really news, but this was sent in by a viewer, a juice head by the name of Capolo, a buddy of mine, and he had asked a question about this a couple weeks ago, about if we had seen the YouTube series where a bunch of devs are making a game without communicating. And I said no. And then he sent me the video, sent me another one today. And I watched it. It's really interesting. You can check it out. It is by Blackthorn Prod, which I think is the probably Productions.
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But like Blackthorn Prod is the YouTube channel, but it basically says it's 100 devs make a game without communicating. We can put the link in the description if we remember. But it's really interesting. Basically, it's like they don't talk, and it's the game of telephone to create a game, and to see where it starts and where it ends is pretty incredible. So I would it's kind of like a mini rec room, but it's also like kind of a cool like indie dev kind of what would you call that, like a call to action, not even a call to action, but like something like where everybody's like kind of getting involved, like a community effort to do something really cool, whether it works out or not, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. This is super cool, and I feel like, if it's good, I definitely have to check out the video. Like if the game that they make like seems like it's actually interesting and has cool mechanics and all that sort of stuff, I would love to see this kind of replicated. Because I feel like you could probably take those same 100 devs and just be like, okay, like next week we're gonna do it again, and it would be a completely different game. And I just kind of think about like that process of just like, uh, you know, at a certain point, there's 100 devs, like maybe, I don't know, like 10 devs in, like there have been decisions made that like can't be changed from that point, right? Like maybe like a genre or like whatever, like it's a first person game. Like we can't make a third person game, like, like you just can't. But I think that's a really interesting thing because there's definitely, I would bet that there's devs that are going to be like meshing genres, and we kind of see that with like some of the games that we review on the show. And so I mean, it sounds really interesting, and I'm very curious to see kind of if the game looks fun. Like that's what I'm curious. Like, is it going to be just a mess, or like will the game actually be like fun? But really cool idea, and I feel like that if it works out, like that should be like an annual event or something like that. That's like televised or something.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. Yeah.
Like create like a documentary about it, or even like release the games in like an anthology, right? Like like almost, you remember like the old games where you just buy it and it'd be like a bunch of like Namco games like Pac-Man and Galaga.
Yeah.
Like you just buy this thing and it's like you get all these like different volumes of this game that got made by all these devs without even talking to each other. It'd be kind of neat. But I just wanted to share that. It was kind of neat. So let's talk about Chessarama. Yeah. The main squeeze, the game that we're reviewing this week. Another chess game, as we said, second chess game we've covered, which it won't be the last, I'm sure, but it might be. Who knows? Like maybe we just like caught like a weird thing where like two chess games came out pretty close to each other. But do you have the elevator pitch for Chessarama?
Yeah, so Chessarama is essentially a chess puzzle game. That's kind of how I think of it, where the pieces that you move are chess pieces and they behave like chess pieces, but everything else around it is not chess. So there's kind of just really the grid is the only thing that really changes. So that's I would just kind of think of it as a chess puzzle game, and that's as simple as I can really make it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, that's probably the most accurate way to describe it. It's developed by Minimal Games and published by both Minimal Games and Hawthorne Games. It's on Steam and Xbox. It comes in at $15. We were provided keys by the developers, but we're going to give a non-biased review here. Let's talk about gameplay. I can kick it off. So
yeah,
I like a good puzzle game, and I as I talked about in Checkmate Showdown, I enjoy chess from time to time. So when I kind of logged into this and started playing the game, it was pretty simple, right? Like it's like, hey, listen, this is you got a real tutorial, which was nice. Like we've had a couple games in a row where we didn't even get like a real tutorial. This has a real tutorial that you can even go back to.
Yeah.
So it's really clean cut, right? It's you're getting these different worlds where it's a different kind of puzzle, right? So I believe it's 4 different worlds. You get the farming one, you get the soccer one, and then we just didn't have enough time to get to the other 2 because you have to gain XP through the game to unlock the worlds. And the 3rd and 4th one are pretty high XP. You probably need to commit a little bit more time than we had given. But that's okay. Yeah. So the farming one's interesting. You basically are hopping around. You're a knight. You got to hop around the basically farm and plant as you land on the space. And then if you land on the space again, the plants get destroyed. So basically you want to hit every space once to like beat the level, to like plant the stuff. So I found that to be pretty fun and pretty interesting. And I was actually not surprised, but like it makes sense that it only uses one piece for the most part, to my memory on the farming one. I think it's only one piece, just the knight piece. And the knight piece is the most complicated, the most complicated chess piece, right? It does an L, which is like sometimes hard to grasp for like newer players and stuff like that. So that was interesting and kind of figuring out what it wanted to do and kind of hop around and whatever, figure it out. Then they add a second knight, and then you got to figure out to move both knights at the same time. It was very interesting. It was nice little brain teasers and helped you kind of think about, well, I actually have to, like, at first you're just like hopping around, or at least I was just hopping around trying to beat the level. And then you're like, get to the harder ones. You're like, all right, I actually have to think about the sequencing of me hopping around. That was interesting. And then I unlocked the soccer one. Soccer one was pretty cool, right? You had to pass the piece with the ball couldn't move. So you had to pass the ball from the piece with the ball to other pieces, and you could set up the other pieces however you want to try to get it into the goal. And that was hard at first.
Yeah. It was. That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, oh man, this was a hard concept to grasp.
I'll be honest with you, I had a better time, or I had an easier time with that than the night one with the farming. Because I don't know, it's just I maybe I didn't. So each level you just have like what you need to do to beat it, and then there's also like goals, like maybe one thing will be like in the soccer ones, like only use 2 moves before you like go and shoot the goal. So, and if you do that, you get a little extra XP, and that's how you kind of accelerate your XP. In the soccer one, I don't think I got all the goals right. Like I got the level beat, but like didn't really accomplish what they were like asking me to do, like in addition. But I was just trying to play through the game, kind of get a good feel for it. I really liked the soccer one. It was very interesting, and the night one was as well. Didn't get to the other 2. What were they again?
Yeah, so the other 2 were, and I'm just reading this off of their Steam page here. The next one was Lady Ronin. It says chess meets Sokoban. You play with a Ronin, a chess queen, and you need to eliminate the other pieces in order to get close to the shogun and kill it. Pieces move like in chess, but push each other like in Sokoban. So I guess you're pushing pieces.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. And then the last one has an awesome name, Dragon Slayer. It says you need to push your pawn to the end of a path in order to kill the mighty dragon, but it will not be that easy. The dragon attacks the board every time the pawn moves, and every undefended piece will die. So it looks like there's a little gift there, and there's a dragon breathing fire on these pawns, and they have to hide behind these stones that are on the level.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you have to work your way through that every turn, and the dragon's going to attack every turn. So kind of interesting. Yeah, definitely. I would say, not chess-like, but using chess pieces, you know, kind of,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
puzzle first, chess second, kind of in this game.
So the interesting thing about this gameplay, and it seems to me like the gameplay, like the type of levels and puzzles you get, like in each world, progress in terms of like really cool and complicated and different takes on it. Like the farming
Yeah.
one's pretty basic, and then you get to the soccer one, and that's like kind of throws you for a loop, and then the other two seem even cooler. So I think from a gameplay perspective, I really liked it. It was actually pretty relaxing, except for one thing, but I won't talk about it yet because that's going to come in a different part of this
I know
review.
what you're gonna say too. I
I don't
totally
know. I
know.
don't know if you do, but like,
All right.
but it,
All right.
but I felt the gameplay was very relaxing and kind of fun to like kind of figure it out. And I don't know. It almost didn't feel like chess. Now
Yeah.
there's like side things that you can do, like battles or whatever, which are it's actually more like chess, right?
Yeah.
Like where if you get a chessboard with like a certain kind of challenge or something like that, and that was kind of fun to do. I played a couple of those. Like where it was like you have like a king and then like all knights, and you got to like figure out how to like move the knights around the board to get checkmate and stuff like that. So it's like giving like the player interesting ways to play chess on the side stuff, but like the puzzles, I was like, I felt like I wasn't playing chess, which I think was a good thing. Like it felt like it was very well thought out puzzles. So that's where I
Yeah.
was at with the gameplay.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was playing the farming one, the farm life one. I was kind of thinking like, all right, this is pretty basic. It's some of them, you had to think a little bit about, but it was really when I got to like the soccer one where I was like, okay, I need to really start thinking about like how this has to happen. It's all about positioning. And the thing that kind of was harder for me to grasp with that mode was just that so the way that your piece moves, so there could be a rook and a bishop and a knight on the board. The way your piece moves is the way that your piece passes the ball. And I kind of just kept getting confused with that for whatever reason. So you have to basically figure out a little kind of puzzle around these cones in order to score for that mode. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I really did appreciate like that there was challenge to it, and it kind of almost also felt like this would be a great like training tool for chess,
Mm-hmm.
like for kids, or just anyone that really hasn't played a lot of chess. If you played this first and you got good at it, I could see you kind of, maybe starting a little bit above average at chess. So yeah, it was definitely great to be challenged. I actually got frustrated with with another thing, but I got frustrated with the soccer mode when I first played it. I was just really mad. I was just like this, like I did because I wasn't understanding how it was working. I kept looking at they do have a great like little kind of, it's called a codex, I think, in the game. You can
Mm-hmm.
open it up and it just tells you like what each piece does and how the game kind of works. I thought that was great, but I just was getting frustrated. But then I took like a little break. I think I was playing something else or whatever. I went to go watch TV, and when I came back, I for whatever reason I understood the soccer mode more, and I was like I got like past like the next few levels that I was stuck on. I was like, oh, okay, this isn't like that bad. So I really did enjoy like the challenge for that. Once I kind of overcame it, kind of had that almost like Dark Souls feeling where I just feel like hopeless, and then all of a sudden I can pull it off. So that was cool. And I really did like about the gameplay. Like you start with that mode that we're talking about, like with farm life, and it's called campaigns in the menus. You start with only that mode, campaigns, and as you play through campaigns, you unlock battles mode,
Mm-hmm.
which is a really cool like gameplay choice to, it's kind because they didn't have to do that. They could have just put that in the menu, and that could have just been another mode. But it kind of like delights the gamer a little bit, just like you don't make it hard to get, you just play. I played a few matches, I think, of the campaigns mode, and then the battles mode unlocks. So that was just cool. That was a neat gameplay choice, and I just feel like the gameplay overall, like really played well to me. Like I had a great time figuring out the puzzles. It didn't feel repetitive in any way for me, and yeah, it was just a great job with the puzzle design for the ones I played. I definitely want to play the other two modes. I feel like this might be a game, it's like a kill time kind of game for me. It's and I wish it was on mobile because I would totally play this on my phone, and maybe that's something that they're working on. But yeah, I think that the gameplay was definitely a win for me. But I know, next we normally talk about story. There's a lot to say here, Tom. If you want to just take, you can take the first part. I'll take the second part because there's gonna be a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, actually, I do want to say I could see how it'd be like tough to go straight from the farming one to the soccer one because you're being asked to do a lot of like a big different thing. Like, so I understand like being frustrated and like stepping away and then coming back and it being okay. But yeah, the story, there is none. It's a puzzle game, and that is basically it. You don't follow anybody's character or anything like that. It's very cut and dry. It's, you got a menu, you got these puzzles, and that's okay, right? Like, there are so many, and we've talked about this with other puzzle games that had no story. You don't need story often. You just need some kind of progression. And we talked about the progression in terms of like the XP. You earn XP to like open up more stuff, and that is your like story here. And some of the best puzzle games in the world ever like don't have a story. Like what's the mobile game? Two Dots.
Yeah, Two Dots.
Two Dots. That doesn't have a story. You're just going up. I mean, like, sure, the levels change, and you got different challenges, but that's it. So. You can't really discount them for not having a story because I don't think it should have one. I mean, sure, you could try to like inject it into there, but I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think that was my biggest disappointment with this game. I really expected a full-fledged, 8-hour campaign. And no, you're totally right. Did not expect there to be a story. But I do feel like we'll talk about the art. But the art does lend itself to like, oh, there's like, it's not like lazy art or like it's not like 2D minimal art where like it doesn't really have like character to it. Like there's character, I guess is what I'm saying, like in the game, with just the way with the art. But yeah, as far as like an actual story, wasn't looking for it and it's not there. So if you're looking for story and no puzzles, this is definitely not the game for you. Yeah.
Go play Legend of Zelda. Well, actually, no, there's puzzles in Legend of Zelda. What am I talking about? You mentioned visuals. What were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I thought the art was really like cozy, is what I wrote down, and like I said, it seems like mobile game esque. Like I kind of got just like that vibe from it. I thought it was a really cool choice to really, when you're playing the levels, you can like change your perspective and kind of, your the actual levels are like on this axis, so you can kind of like go around it and zoom in and out. So you're not really fixed to like one angle, which I thought was a really great like art choice because it kind of livens up the board a bit, which is cool. And yeah, no, I just thought overall like the art worked really well, and I was even zooming into like the chess pieces themselves. I thought they looked interesting. I thought they looked great. And then I also believe you can like tied to the art, like you unlock pieces that are like different styles, right? Like I think I unlocked like a pawn or two that were like different styles that you can use. So that's cool that there's kind of like a skin system in the game that you can like change the way your board looks or your pieces look on the board. So I thought, just in terms of progression as well, like that's a cool thing to strive for. So yeah, I thought the art worked really well in the game. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, I thought that was neat too. I think we've actually talked about some other games that could have benefited, right, from like even just adding some like what do they call them, aesthetics and stuff like that. Not
Cosmetics.
Cosmetics, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, initially I was almost gonna nitpick it right when I first started playing. I was like, man, I kind of wish like everything else was a little bit more dynamic, maybe moving a little bit more. And then as I played, I'm like, I'm glad it isn't,
Yeah.
because then it would distract me from what I'm like I really got to think about. So I actually like
Yeah.
that was like a big realization for me. It's like, oh, you don't need to make this like super crazy. There's a reason these puzzles are presented on like almost like a floating island of some sort in this like kind of virtual world that they're trying to like kind of create. And I thought it worked well. I like the way the pieces looked. I like the way they move. It was exactly, you know, how you want it to work. And then I felt like the even just floating over the pieces, it would show you where they like their move progression was. So like that was a nice touch. And the heads up display of like, oh, you can check out the codex if you want to learn more about this or whatever. And then, you know, different text bubbles. And then it was very clear. It's like, okay, one of the things that I liked actually was, and I've liked a lot of it actually. It's not one of the things. Another thing that I really liked was having the icon on the screen where it says restart, right? Because you have to restart a lot in this game. Like if you start doing it wrong, you're screwed. You might as well restart. Which it sounds stupid for me to say. Like I'm glad that they made that pretty visible. But like I think other games would just say would just be like, yo, yeah, you got to pause it and then click restart. But like the fact that they're like, you're gonna have to restart. Like they're letting you know. Like you're not gonna like. You know, unless you're like
you're not that smart.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. With the Magnus Carlsen or whatever, he's like, you're not him. So like,
they actually did a partnership with him as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was part of their press kit that they sent over.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
I think it's in the news. So that's pretty interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. So like, you know, we're not all him, right? So like, it makes sense, and I did like that. Now, let's talk about the sound and the music.
Yeah.
This is where the game really like it suffered for me. I'm gonna be honest with you folks. I had to take off my headphones. The music was not. It was very repetitive. I don't think there was a long track, right? But it kept repeating, and I was losing my mind because I was also like in the game. I was like trying to focus. I was like, okay, I gotta, I had to like what the heck is this music? And to be fair, I tolerated it for the farm one, but the soccer one was brutal. Yeah, but even the farm one, I was like, okay, this isn't changing up much. This is just the same thing over and over again, but I'll stick it out. I was moving through that one a little bit more quickly. But the soccer one, which like required a lot more thought, had the most annoying music I've ever heard that like just made me lose my mind. I was like, I gotta get my headphones off. And like, I hate to say that because, this is actually like the first time I feel like, because it's either been for us like, wow, the sound design, the music's excellent. It's really excelling this game. Or it's like, oh, it's exactly what you expect. This is the first time when I was like, this is actually taking away from the experience. Like I would actually, if I'm going to recommend this game, I would say don't do it with headphones on. So I hate to come down on it so hard, but like it's really just how I felt. Like I just couldn't do it. It was brutal. I don't know if you share that same sentiment.
Same. Literally everything that you just said is exactly how I feel about the music. Other than taking my headphones off, I went in the settings and I just muted the music, and so I just play without that. But it's the same, same result. The music, I was expecting a calming, like almost Minecraft-esque kind of music with a game like this, especially with the way it looks. They didn't really deliver on that. There was this kind of, especially when I was playing the soccer one and it started to get pretty challenging, at least for me, there was this part of the song that it would just go, dit, dit, It's just like, just like I'm gonna lose my mind. Like this thing is. It felt like the music was taunting me. That's what and I don't mean to be too harsh, but like that's what it felt like, and maybe that's the vibe they were going for. They wanted it to feel like a challenging kind of vibe, but for me, I was just when I'm playing chess, I'm doing it to relax a little. I'm not doing it to like stress out.
Hmm.
I'm not that into chess. So yeah, the music did suffer, and this is, I mean, if the developers, if you're listening, this is really for me the only thing taken away from this game. Like everything else is a positive. And maybe this could be updated. I don't know. Like maybe I imagine music's something that can definitely be updated. But that's kind of the vibe I was getting from the music as well. And yeah, everything that you said just lines up exactly with what I was thinking. Yeah, it's just it's it really got on my nerve. Maybe that was probably part of the reason I was getting frustrated
Yeah.
too. Was like it wasn't really the difficulty of the puzzle. It was like the puzzle being mildly difficult, and then the music just making it seem worse. Uh, so yeah, it was just oh god.
It was rough.
Um,
And like I understand, so like for each campaign I felt like I understood where the thought process was. Like the first one is like kind of like a farmy kind of like almost like what that Lon Lon Ranch kind of vibe from Zelda.
yeah,
Like that's what it kind of felt like at first, then it was very repetitive and it wasn't as annoying, right? Like I understand where they're coming from. And then the soccer one, I'm guessing it was like, oh, we want to like use the essence of the Vuvuzela, right? Which
yeah,
I got bad
yeah,
news for you folks. The Vuvuzela, nobody likes that. That's just what annoying people do at soccer games. So like, I don't know. It's yeah, yeah. It's a
yeah,
shame. It's a shame because yeah, like you said, there's a lot of great things going for the game. And listen, we'll talk about it in the rating, but like it's an easy fix. You could take off your headphones like me, or just mute it like you did, which is
yeah.
smarter. It's smarter than what I did, but what about the performance?
Yeah, for me it ran well. Didn't have any issues with performance. For me, played it on Steam, and yeah, that's why. And I also get the vibe. This could be a mobile game. So like I just feel like that from how it performed on my computer, like just the vibe of the game. So I would love that. But yeah, no issues on my end. What about you?
Same, no issues. I played on Steam as well. And yeah, it played pretty well. Now let's get to our final rating here.
Yeah,
So for anybody just tuning in for the first time, we have a couple different ratings. From best to worst, the first is certified fresh juice. Then you got a steal, and then you got get on sale. And manager special, right? You got a grocery store, you see the stuff that's manager special. Is that still good? We don't know, but it is very cheap. And then the last one, spoiled milk, which nobody wants. So, Matty Juice, what
yes.
are you giving this game?
All right, so um, I am giving this game a steal. I think for $15 to have and we were really only halfway through the game, and I was getting a good amount of entertainment out of it. I thought the puzzles were interesting, the art was great, even though the music is lacking, and there are some gameplay things like elements that I would like in the game, like having a tip system, or a hint. If you're kind of stuck, maybe it puts because the person, like for the soccer one, the person that passes the ball always starts in the right place. The one who starts with the ball. Maybe it'd be great to have like a hint system that like put the second person in place,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, okay, now I know at least two pieces of this puzzle. Like, let me try to figure out the rest. Something like that, I think, could be cool, especially for just like, someone like me that's like not, I'm not like crazy into chess. Like, I don't play it super often. I do like playing it, and I like playing people's takes on chess. But yeah, it's like things like that really took it away from almost being like a certified fresh juice for really fulfilling exactly I think what this game was trying to do. So yeah, for me, I'm giving it a steal. I think $15 is great deal for this game, and I would love to see it on mobile. I would definitely pick it up on mobile if it um, came out on there. But anyway, yeah, Tommy, what are you thinking rating wise?
Um, I think I'm a little bit lower on it than you, right? But I will say I'm gonna give it a low steal, right? But if you're someone that's like, well, I want to be able to like really relax and like have some like relaxing music with my puzzle games. Like I think that is like a huge part of a good puzzle game, right?
Yeah,
You do want to like have the whole experience, and like yeah, you can play them without like your headphones or muted or whatever. I think that you might can get bumped down to get on sale, but I'm gonna give it a low steal. I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed the puzzles. I liked the take on it. I liked that I didn't feel like I was playing chess, and I liked that there was a progression system and that you can kind of just move through it. And you know what? That's okay because like the music part sucked for me, but once I removed that from the equation, I was having a great time. So a low steal. I think that they can fix the music part. I understand that sometimes that can be the last like priority for some games, right? Like I get it. Like it's like, all right, we worked on the visuals and we worked on the gameplay and we worked on all this stuff, and then oh god, we got to do music, and I'm not saying that that's what they did, but it certainly felt like it. But
yeah,
yeah, two steals.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I definitely agree with you on the music. Like it's we are not the type of people to ever really shy away from the like in-game music.
Mm-hmm.
We're always kind of interested in and trying to see what people can do. So like it's very rare for me to like mute the music of a game. You sometimes I'll turn it down, but this was just like I just couldn't have it on. And I think I might have pulled up my Spotify just to like play something. But yeah, so hopefully they can fix that. I'm sorry, but we're just being honest. We're trying to be transparent,
Yeah, no,
and this
absolutely.
is this is just how we feel. But yeah, two steals though, definitely really strong in the ratings there, pretty strong,
Yeah,
pretty strong.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we
if just imagine if the music wasn't the way it was, like that could have
yeah,
been closer to a certified fresh juice. So, thank you,
yeah,
for
yeah,
the keys. We really enjoyed the game. Can't wait to see what else you guys have coming down the pipes. Now, we do have some
yeah.
listener questions. First, coming from K Moore, who asks, "What are some games to keep an eye on for sales this holiday season?" Let you answer
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, so great question. Thank you, Kmore. Um, excuse me. I actually, because he sent this question to me, I submitted it. So I had a little bit of time to think about it. So I'll talk about it a little bit, give you some time, Tom, and
Mm-hmm.
think about it if you didn't see the question. But um, for me, I would say like Lethal Company. That's definitely a game that's like been pretty popular lately and seems pretty funny. I would kind of look out for that being on sale because people definitely seem to enjoy it. Um, also, Baldur's Gate 3 might be going on sale. Maybe not a big sale. They already said that they won't be going on Game Pass because they feel like the value of that game speaks for itself,
Mm-hmm.
which I think a lot of people would agree with. But they might go on like a 15% sale, something like that. So if you've seen some of the press about Baldur's Gate 3, definitely check that out. And those, Lethal Company is an indie game, but Baldur's Gate 3, I don't think technically is, but still, that's what I would look out for. And then two other games, or I would look out for, so Little Nightmares, which is like a puzzle game, is the third one is coming out next year. So if you're interested in like, pretty highly rated puzzle games, I would check out Little Nightmares 1 and 2 and see if it's on sale this holiday. And then you could, you know, play through those, and then you'll be ready for Little Nightmares 3. Not that there's like a lot of, story elements that are tied into that, but if you want to kind of play through all of them, you can do that. And then really the last one, the one that like I need to do, is play Hades, because Hades 2 is coming out next year. I've watched a good amount of Hades. I've heard great things. It looks awesome. I just really never sat down and played it. I think I might even own it. I don't know if it is on Game Pass, but or I might have got it on the Epic Store. It was free at some point. So I definitely need to play that because Hades 2, yeah, is coming out next year. So those are some recommendations of what I would say to keep an eye on for this holiday. But Tommy, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, there are some games that I'm just kind of looking through right now. Dredge, which we've talked about, is on sale, 25% down on Steam. I would recommend that if you haven't played that already. I would look for some like indie classics if you had not like gotten into indie games, until recently and found our wonderful podcast. I would look at some indie classics to see if there's any sales. I can't really, say what is on sales. I haven't really looked. But if you see like Axiom Verge on sale, or something like Enter the Gungeon or Slay the Spire, I'd say Slay the Spire is on sale right now. That's an excellent game. So look for like the games that are really considered classics in the arena of indie games, and see if they're on sale. And I've mentioned 3 bangers already. Like Dredge, like I really think everybody should try Dredge because it was such a cool game. I really love the vibe of that game, and what's it? Also, I mean, this is an indie game, but I see the Octopath Traveler's on sale for 50% off. That's pretty good. Apparently, that game's pretty excellent. So that might be something I'm looking at. But yeah,
I also I just saw that Valheim's 40% off right now.
I saw Valheim as well. So
yeah. So definitely check that out if you're into survival games.
Amen. Thank you for the question, K-Born. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Next comes from my faithful roommate, Rcarp 11, who asks, if you were going to create a game, what would the premise be and what would it be called? I'm going to change this question a little bit as like, what kind of game would it be? And like, what would be the overall vibe? And I guess we can name it as well. I'll let you start.
Okay. Yeah. Let me think about this.
Okay. I can start.
Okay. All right. You got something ready?
Well, I would want to. Oh, here's another game. Actually, if it's on sale, you see, Loop Hero. I would want to see something inspired by Loop Hero, right? I think Loop Hero is one of the most unique games I've ever played. So I want to create that, but like take it a little bit further into some like not open world, maybe a little open world where like it's top down RPG pixel art that you kind of are traveling around and then have to do these like kind of Loop Hero-esque like battles, right? Rather than just the Loop Hero thing, like to kind of expand on it. And I'd call it Loop Champion.
Loop Champion.
Yeah. What do you think?
That is a great name. You sold me on it. How much do you need for investment?
$50.
I'll sell everything.
All right.
Okay.
I lowballed you, so.
Wow. Yeah. No, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I have not checked out Loop Hero yet, but I know you speak very highly of it often, so I need to definitely check it out. And Dredge, they're like on my list.
Dredge is on sale, buddy.
Check out.
I mean,
it is. Now you played it on Switch.
I played it on Switch, and I enjoyed it on the Switch. But I'm sure
it ran well.
I'm sure it's just as good on. I don't know if it's on sale on Switch, though. That's the difference.
Okay, gotcha. Rcarp, thank you for this question. It's definitely an interesting one and something that I have struggled to really figure out a good answer for. But really, the thing I first was thinking of, which is I guess what I should go with, is I would really like to create like a timeless puzzle game, like that's on like your phone. I don't know, for whatever reason, like I just like growing up, right? Like I was very into like the iPod Touch. Like I just like was into like that whole kind of touch screen, and I tried to make my iPod Touch a phone. I was all into that sort of stuff, like jailbreaking my iPod Touch so it can do things that you're not supposed to do, and all that sort of stuff. So I think it would be really like interesting because I was able to like play a lot of interesting puzzle games, and even just like timeless like mobile games. Like I remember playing like hours of like Doodle Jump. Like that's not even a
Mhm.
puzzle game. It's just like a game, just try to is a Flappy Bird esque, trying to just like see how far you can go. Like games like that or Jetpack Joyride or just like a timeless kind of game like that. And I think it would be cool to like, you know, just make like Tiny Wings. I played so much Tiny Wings,
Mhm.
on like my iPod Touch, and it was just like it was awesome. So just like there's been so many games since then too that I love playing on my phone. And I would even put I've been playing like Vampire Survivors on my phone. Like I would put that like right now, like in the like yeah, that's probably gonna be a classic like mobile game. Like it's just that good. So uh yeah, it would be cool to like kind of be part of that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what that would look like. Like maybe it would be like number based or something.
Could
Um,
be.
but yeah, it could be cool to try to figure out just like a new type of puzzle.
So basically, you want to create a game that TikTokers are gonna split screen while they're talking to you, so that the Gen
Yes,
Z and younger can pay attention.
exactly. Yeah, that'll be the goal of the game. Absolutely, and we'll pay. We'll pay for like an ad to be placed right there. So if someone cut the video, it would still show the ad.
Oh,
So that we pay for ad space purposely for that reason.
oh yeah.
Um, yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you for
That's
the
always crazy
questions.
to me.
Oh yeah. Oh, that
Yeah,
phenomenon is
yeah.
nuts.
Especially when I find myself doing it, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what? I'm not like, why is this on the page?
Yeah, I want to watch a normal video sometimes. Like, guys,
Yeah,
let's relax. I get it. The hydraulic press is cool. We don't need to
yeah,
see the different things that can explode. If I
yeah,
want to watch that, I'll watch that. But
yeah.
uh, but so that brings us to the rec room. What do you have to recommend this week?
Yeah, so this is a game that I've been playing a good amount of, and it is really something that came out of nowhere. I know last week we talked about the day before and that disaster with that
Mm-hmm.
game, and that studio closing down. And around that same time, this game called Once Human came out for beta. It's in like I'm not even sure how long the beta is. I don't think they've announced like an end date, but they started a beta around that time. And this game is like really, I guess what the day before hoped to be at least like half of. Like this game is like a survival sandbox, survival like open world MMOE kind of game that's third person. And it's like kind of sci-fi, like almost like Stranger Things meshed into it in a weird way. It's just it has been so much fun and there's so much depth to it. Like as a fan of survival games, and I've seen like a lot of people say this, like this is their next like game. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is what they're gonna be playing for a while. And like right now, I'm like feeling the same way. Like the game keeps surprising me. It's similar to like if anyone's played like Remnant from the Ashes, it's like a third person kind of shooter game where things are kind of weird in the world, but it's like a survival MMOE version of that. But it's been great. If you like building in the game, there's like you can build all these awesome things. If you like exploring in the game, like the map is huge and there's other players around and you can like interact with them and do events and stuff. There's big boss battles that like me and my buddy Pat have like done two of them so far, and they have like cutscenes and all that. Like it's all this is like a beta of this game. And then there's like really interesting quests and there's a whole story and everything. It has like so many great elements, and I just it's like kind of like it feels like the game I've been waiting for, which is like weird. I didn't even know, like the game just came out of nowhere. And Yeah, it comes out in like Q3 2024. So whenever this beta ends, it's going to be a painful wait. But I know me and my buddy Pat will definitely be playing it because we're both really loving it so far. But yeah, it's called Once Human. Definitely check it out. If you're interested in those style games, Division-esque, Destiny maybe esque, but like really just better, I would say, all around already in the beta than both of those. So yeah,
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I watched you
yeah,
stream it a little bit and it seemed pretty neat. Probably not my cup of tea because I just never really got into those
yeah.
games. But listen, I'm all for anybody enjoying any kind of game. So really cool. Once Human Q3. It's in beta
Yeah.
now. I'm sure. Will they do early access or?
I'm not too sure. The beta was open,
Mm.
and then when people found out about the game, they said they got like their servers hammered, so they had to switch it to like invite only.
Oh, okay.
So I think like it might maybe now that it's invite only, maybe now it's gonna be kind of like early access and last a longer time. Because they don't have to worry about like huge spikes in players or anything like that. So yeah, who knows? But we're definitely excited for it, and it's less than a year away. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed.
Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah,
I think this is something
yeah.
knock on wood. Cool, man. Well, my rec room is a hangover cure. Which is,
Oh,
this is, I mean, this is more just like, I got a story for you. So I was working, and I work in the beer industry, and both my area sales manager and my regional sales manager are both bad influences, right? So I went to one of my area sales manager's events. We were drinking a high ABV beer that we sell, and I was trying not to drink as much of that, but they know I like Jameson. So I'm working the room. I'm talking to customers, and then I'm talking to these customers at the bar, and the bartender keeps being like, "Oh, here you go," and it was a whiskey. It was a Jameson. And I'm like, "Oh," and I like look up across the bar, and I see both my bosses doing the kind of the Jack Nicholson nod from the GIF, and I was like, "Oh God!" One, I'm not one to turn down a drink, so I got pretty banged up, right, and
yeah.
to the point where I woke up in the hotel, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I got to drive all the way back home and whatever." So I found out the cure for the hangover is a body armor. I don't know if you've ever seen those. They sell them at Wawa, but they're
Oh yeah,
kind of like elevated Gatorades in a way. They kind of made with coconut water and stuff like that. So like a little extra hydration.
yeah. I was thinking the Axe competitor, like
Oh
the body
no!
spray. I
Oh
was like,
that.
how are you using that? I think there's one called Body Armor, or there
Oh,
used to be.
I think so
Um,
too. Actually, now that I think about it, so
yeah,
I
but
grabbed
no, I
one.
know the drink. Yeah,
Yeah, I grabbed one of those, and then I just noshed on a small little turkey hoagie from Wawa. No, you don't like turkey, so it could be any kind of neutral meat like a chicken or something like that.
okay,
Poultry.
yeah,
I think you would be remiss not to try. And
yeah.
so I had that, and I still had to get
A
back
chicken parm sandwich.
chicken parm sandwich. So like, whatever. I'm still feeling pretty rough. And then I was like, oh man, I just gotta finish this body armor, get some like fluids in me, blah blah blah. And then I was like, okay, I don't really have any work to do till later, so I have some time. I just curled up in bed, flipped on the TV, and watched like 5 episodes of Seinfeld. And I gotta be honest, I have not. I'm sitting there giggling. I'm like kicking my feet a little bit. I'm drinking my body armor, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm right as rain. I can, I was looking up AA meetings this morning, and now I'm ready to drink again. This is great. So like, it was. I was amazed because, and it's probably more so that like I passed the time and like my hangover kind of dissipated, but I had never been one to pass the time when I was hungover. It was either I had to go
Yeah,
to work or I had something going on or I was just like miserable. So,
yeah.
don't drink,
Listen,
folks, I guess. I don't know.
good food and Seinfeld cure anything.
Yeah,
All right, you
absolutely.
know, it's true. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. Speaking of that, that actually just reminded me, and that is definitely something I need to try with that hangover cure. Probably get like like some sort of chicken sandwich, like a Wawa, or something like that, like a deli. I don't
Sure.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's definitely sounds good. I mean, who doesn't love watching Seinfeld? But speaking of Seinfeld, um, my wife Maria, as you know her name, and I'm just letting the viewers know, or the listeners know, but she like they do something every year. All the teachers where the students decorate the door of their homeroom.
Mm-hmm.
So like Maria has a homeroom, and like everyone decorates all the doors in the school for the holidays, and then the teachers all vote on which one they like the best or whatever. And I guess each class, like sophomore and freshman, all that stuff, they they win. They win something. I don't know, whoever it is that's room wins. But one of the doors, because we were looking at them earlier, Maria was showing me all of them, is the one that I think should have won the whole thing, and it was a Festivus door, and
Oh.
it had pictures of of George's dad and George and Kramer on there, and they had like speech bubbles. They was like saying stuff. It was like Happy Festivus, and I was like, that is the best door, because some kids in high school did that. Like those are high school Seinfeld fans, and I'm like, yes, like that is awesome.
It is
It's
so
like
cool.
such a great show.
It's having such a resurgence because they put it on Netflix, and then like there's just something very memeable about the show.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like how, like, especially George Costanza, right? Like there's just so many it's just a meme factory. And then there's Kramer and like Jerry, whatever, whatever. But like George and Kramer just like they pump out the memes, and like and these kids appreciate it, right? They're like, "Oh, this is hilarious." So, because these
yeah,
kids are growing up where no sitcoms were on TV. So like your traditional sitcoms. So
yeah.
they're kind of like looking back. It's like us looking back at I don't know, like vinyl
Leave
or
it to
something.
Beaver.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's like looking at something that like vinyl's popular with like our generation. We never had
Exactly.
it, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like in a weird way like that, which is really cool. But hey, watch
Yeah.
Seinfeld. That's another great rec. So,
Get it
um,
on vinyl.
amen. Now, Matt, where can people find you?
Yeah, if you want to find me outside the show, feel free to look me up at Matty Gorm, Gorm, on all the socials, Twitter, X, whatever, YouTube, TikTok. I just posted a video on Once Human. I'm going to start doing some content for Once Human just because I haven't really found a lot of content for it. And I think that the game has a lot of potential. So I want to start making some content for it. So I put up a video on Once Human in case you're interested in checking that out. I've also been streaming it on twitch.tv/Matty Gorm, so feel free to check me out over there. And those are all my socials, Tom. Where can they find you?
You can continue to find me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod. I have another podcast called Fresh and Buds, where I talk about a indie trading card game called Flesh and Blood. It's an awesome game. I just put out a video for there's this thing called deck text, where if you build a deck, you kind of explain what it does. And it's my best performing video ever. So like, maybe I'll do more of that kind of content, but I do podcasts every week. This week, we actually have the owner of a local game store in New Jersey that, kind of talking about building the game from the ground up. And we've had a lot of great guests. I've had a ex-NFL player on that show, Dalen Mack. As well as some other really cool people. And if you ever played Magic, some really cool Magic people that kind of went over to Flesh and Blood. Now, next week is a pretty slow week for games coming out. People are kind of more just buying games that are already out. So we're going to take a look at Kickstarter next week and kind of talk about some games that interest us that maybe we would recommend giving money towards if you want to get in on any really cool kickstarting stuff. But that should be fun. But you can continue to find anything about the podcast on all of our socials at Fresh Juice Pod, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, and anything else that is out there. But and if you listen on any platforms that allow you to rate things, give us a good rating, especially Spotify really helps. And then also, like, comment, subscribe on the YouTubes. So thank you very much. Anything else, Matt?
I think you covered it. Yeah. Another great app in the books.
Let's keep it rolling. Please enjoy your holiday and stay fresh, you juice heads.